There is a teacup. Noritake, hand-painted from the Nippon years. I'm starting with the one that hides in plain sight in American cupboards. Between 1891 and 1921, Japanese porcelain sent to the United States had to be marked with the word Nippon. Noritake produced enormous quantities of hand-painted cups in those years, and because most of it arrived as gift china, it went straight into a cabinet and stayed there for a century. Clean, hand-painted examples with a clear Nippon mark and unworn gold move between $40 and $150 for a cup and saucer. The Moriage pieces, the ones with raised slip decoration that feels almost sculptural under your thumb, go well past that. Here is the detail that decides it, the word itself. After 1921, the same factory marked its exports Japan, and those later cups are worth a fraction. Same shape. Same painting, different decade, different price. If you have a hand-painted Japanese cup in the house, that word is the whole conversation. Number 14. Lenox, from the early Belleek years. Everyone assumes Lenox is modern department store china. The early work is nothing like it. Before Lenox became a wedding registry name, the company was producing thin, translucent porcelain in the Belleek tradition, often hand-painted, often with heavy, raised gold. Those early pieces carry a wreath mark or a palette mark instead of the modern printed logo. Early marked examples in good condition bring $50 to $200 for a cup and saucer, and the artist-decorated pieces go higher. The detail that decides it is a test you can do right now. Hold the cup up to a lamp. Early Lenox is genuinely translucent, and you will see the shadow of your own fingers through the wall of the cup. Modern production is opaque. That is it. That single test separates a $20 cup from one a collector will actually chase. Number 13. Haviland Limoges floral patterns. French porcelain made specifically for the American market has a quiet following most owners never discover. Haviland produced thousands of floral patterns, and a huge number of them are still sitting in cupboards across this country, because they arrived as wedding gifts or anniversary presents and then never moved again. The better patterns, identified by their Schleiger numbers or carrying a clear Theodore Haviland mark, regularly bring $40 to $150 for a clean cup and saucer. What makes these dangerous is how ordinary they look. Soft pink roses, delicate sprays. Most people glance at them and price them like a used dish. The detail that decides it is the pattern number. Two Haviland cups can look nearly identical to you and be separated by $100 because one pattern is collected and the other is not. Number 12. Royal Albert Old Country Roses, made in England. Now we are getting to the one that is most likely in your cabinet at this moment. and it is the one you are most likely to dismiss as ordinary grandma china. Through the 1960s and 70s, Royal Albert flooded American department stores with old country roses, clusters of red, pink and yellow roses edged in 22-karat gold. Women bought them by the hundreds of thousands because the quality felt substantial and the design looked expensive without costing a fortune. The early pieces that still carry the Made in England backstamp are the ones that matter. Production later moved overseas, and those later cups sit at modest prices. The England-made examples, with bright, unworn gold and no crazing, still command $50 to $100 for a single cup and saucer. That may not sound dramatic until you remember what they originally cost. These have held nearly their full original value for more than 50 years, which almost nothing does. The detail that decides it is the England mark, plus the condition of the gold. Both, not one. If yours has both, you are holding something this market still respects long after everyone stopped paying attention. Number 11. Wedgwood Jasperware. Everyone recognizes it. Matte blue or green stoneware, white classical figures in relief. And almost everyone assumes every piece they see is modern tourist wear from a gift shop. The older, well-marked examples bring $50 to $200 for a cup and saucer. The rare colors, the lilac, the black basalt, the three-color pieces climb considerably higher. The detail that decides it is something you feel, not something you read. Run your fingertip across the white figures. On an early piece, the edge of an arm, the fold of a robe, has a crisp edge you can actually catch. Later production is softer, rounder, almost melted. Collectors know this in 1 second. Owners almost never do. Number 10. Royal Doulton, Carlisle and the better mid-century patterns. We are a third of the way in, and from here, the numbers start climbing fast. Royal Doulton produced some of the most elegant mid-century English bone china ever sold in American stores, and patterns like Carlisle still turn up constantly at estate sales. The good examples, strong design, proper gilding, clean condition, sell for $50 to $150 per cup and saucer. These were never the rarest thing the company made. They were among the most carefully made, and that quality is obvious the moment you hold one next to modern bone china. The weight is different, the rim is different. The detail that decides it is the difference between ordinary transferware and the better Doulton lines, and that lives in the backstamp. Most people who own these treat them as sentimental leftovers from a previous generation. The ones who turn the cup over are the ones who find out they have something with real demand behind it. Number 9. Spode and Copeland, early marks. Spode is one of the oldest names in English ceramics, and that history is exactly why the early pieces get overlooked. People see the name on a modern Christmas plate and assume it is all the same output. It is not. 19th century Spode and the Copeland-era Spode that followed it, particularly the hand-painted and heavily gilded examples, bring $80 to $300 for a cup and saucer in clean condition. The detail that decides it is the wording of the mark. Copeland late Spode, or an impressed mark pressed into the clay itself, points to the 1800s. A modern printed mark does not. One is a collector piece, the other is dinnerware, same name on the bottom, two completely different objects. Number 8. Minton, gold-encrusted and cockatrice. Minton sat at the very top of English porcelain for most of the 19th century, and the gold-encrusted pieces show exactly why. Dense raised gold, jeweled enamel, the kind of finish that photographs badly and looks extraordinary in your hand. Strong Minton cups and saucers, especially the gold-encrusted patterns and the cockatrice line, run $150 to $500. The exceptional pieces go past that, the detail that decides it is the gold itself. On a real Minton, the gilding stands proud of the surface. Catch it with a fingernail and you will feel the ridge. Printed gold lies completely flat. That ridge is worth hundreds of dollars. Before we go on, something worth saying out loud. Everything on this list comes down to three things: the mark, the condition of the gold, and whether the piece is still complete. Those are not opinions, and they are not guesses. They are the same three things a professional checks at an estate counter, and together they take about 10 seconds. Most people never do it. They see an old cup, they see a rose, they price it like a used dish. And the gap between what these pieces sell for at a yard sale and what they sell for to someone who reads the mark is routinely 10 times over. 10 seconds, that is the whole difference. Now, back to the countdown, because the top 7 is where the real money is. Number 7, Coalport, jeweled and heavily gilt. Coalport has always sat slightly under the radar next to the bigger English names, and that is precisely why the elaborate pieces are still undervalued. The jeweled examples, the ones with raised enamel dots that look like tiny gemstones set into the porcelain, and the heavily gilt pieces from the early 20th century, reach $200 to $600 for a single cup and saucer in excellent condition. These were never mass-market items, even when they were new. The ones that survived tend to be the ones that were put away carefully instead of used, which is exactly why their details are still intact. The detail that decides it is the jeweling. Run a finger across those dots. Real jeweling is dimensional, applied one at a time. Printed imitation is smooth. Number 6. Shelley, the dainty shape and the Art Deco patterns. This is the name that surprises people, because Shelley closed in the 1960s and the collector base has done nothing but grow since. The dainty shape with its fluted rim and the Art Deco patterns Vogue, Mode, Regent are the ones that move. Clean examples bring $100 to $400 for a cup and saucer, and the rarer deco shapes go well beyond that. The detail that decides it is the shape, not the pattern. Shelley's deco shapes are angular and unmistakable, and a collector recognizes that silhouette from across a room. The same painted pattern on an ordinary round cup is worth a fraction of it. This is one of the few cases where the form is worth more than the decoration. Number 5. Aynsley, Orchard Gold, and the signed artist pieces. Aynsley produced some of the richest fruit and floral painting of the mid-20th century, and the pieces signed by artists like J.A. Bailey or Doris Jones are the ones that still command serious attention. Strong signed cup and saucer sets regularly sell between $100 and $400. These were popular gifts, which is why they show up in ordinary American estates far more often than the rare continental names. The detail that decides it is the signature, and it is the single most missed detail in this entire category. It is small. It is usually painted into the shadow of the fruit, and most owners have never tilted the cup far enough to find it. Once you know what those signatures look like, you start seeing value where everyone else sees ordinary fruit china. Number 4. Royal Worcester, hand-painted fruit. The soft fruit studies painted on mossy grounds by named factory artists are among the most consistently strong performers in the entire English bone china market. Not occasionally, consistently. Signed examples by painters such as Freeman, Townsend, Ayrton, or Ricketts routinely bring $150 to $500 for a cup and saucer at auction. These look decorative rather than rare until you find the artist's signature and the date code. The unsigned and later transfer versions are common and modestly priced, which is exactly why so many people walk straight past the good ones. The detail that decides it is that a real signature is painted, small, and tucked into the darkest part of the design. A transfer version has no signature at all, not a faint one. None. Number 3. Meissen Blue Onion, with the authentic crossed swords. This is the pattern almost everyone has heard of, and almost nobody can correctly authenticate. Genuine 19th or early 20th century Meissen pieces with the proper crossed swords. Marks still bring $100 to $300 or more for a cup and saucer, while the endless modern copies sell for thrift store money. The detail that decides it is the blue itself. On a genuine piece, the cobalt has depth and slight variation because a human being painted it. The copies are flat and perfectly uniform, and the swords give it away too. On the copies they are usually too neat, too even, too printed. The pattern has been popular for generations, so these cups do turn up in estates. The authentic early ones are far less common than people assume. Number 2. Paragon, floating rose and cabbage rose. The oversized central rose that appears to float inside the cup is one of the most instantly recognizable patterns in the entire English bone china market and one of the strongest performers. Double warrant examples, and those signed by artists like R. Johnson, regularly sell between $200 and $600. Exceptional pieces go higher. These were popular mid-century gifts, so they are sitting in cupboards all over this country. Most owners have no idea that the combination of the double warrant mark, the quality of the raised gold, and the condition of that rose can turn an ordinary-looking cup into one of the stronger pieces on the secondary market. The detail that decides it is the double warrant, 2 royal crests instead of 1. It dates the piece, and it changes the price. Clean examples with the original gold still bright are getting noticeably harder to find, and the prices have been reflecting that for several years. 14 down. And if you have made it this far without pausing this video to go check a cabinet, you have more self-control than I do, because now we are at the one I promised you at the very start, the one that is not about a rare factory or a lucky year, the one that could be sitting 3 feet away from you right now. Number 1. Any well-marked vintage teacup that is still complete. I told you at the start that the number 1 is not a rare pattern from a rare year. Here it is. The single most valuable thing you can own is any cup that still has everything it needs to prove what it is. The matching saucer that was never separated from it. The backstamp still clear and complete, not scrubbed into a ghost. The gold or enamel that has not been worn away by decades of dishwasher cycles or careless storage. When a buyer who understands this market sees a listing with all of those elements present, they are no longer looking at a used teacup. They are looking at proof that someone preserved the piece properly, and that changes what they are willing to pay. Completeness is the rarest quality in this entire category, not because it is hard to achieve, but because it is so easy to destroy. People split the sets apart. They lose the saucers. They put the cups in the dishwasher. They scrub the mark trying to make it look clean. Every one of those is a decision that costs money, and almost nobody knows they are making it. So here is where this leaves you. For most of the 20th century, English and European factories produced bone china at a level of craftsmanship that no longer exists at any price the average person can afford. Those factories closed, the patterns were discontinued, the surviving pieces became limited by definition. Right now you can still find many of them for less than the cost of a nice dinner. That gap between the history and the current price does not stay this wide forever. It never has, with well-made objects from companies that no longer exist. The market is simply waiting for enough people to look carefully at what they already own. Every year, a few more of these sets get donated, boxed for a yard sale, or scrubbed clean by someone trying to help. Every one of those is a piece that will not come back. So before you donate anything, before you sell anything, before you set one more box out for the next yard sale, go through every cupboard and every storage box in the house. Tonight, not someday. Keep the cups with their matching saucers. Leave the marks alone. Do not clean the gold with anything harsh, and never put any of it in a dishwasher. That quiet little set your mother or your grandmother put away and forgot about might be the most undervalued thing you own. And the only way to find out costs you nothing but 4 seconds and a willingness to look. So stop treating it like ordinary china and start looking at it the way collectors already do. Turn the cup over. It takes 4 seconds. Do it before you close this video.